Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third webinar in our series, The Power and Promise of Invention Education from the Partners in Invention Education team here at Lemelson MIT. I am Christina Syons. I'm the Invention Education Manager here at Lemelson MIT. We're just super thrilled to have you tonight. Tonight, this webinar is going to focus on hearing stories from the educators who have experience in invention education firsthand and who have the deepest knowledge of this because they're living it day in and day out with their students. So they're going to talk about the benefits of this, some of the challenges they faced, and some of the also obviously focus on the wonderful success stories from their students. So we'll jump right into the next slide, I think, Edwin, and we'll go ahead and do some introductions, some quick introductions from the Partners in Invention Education team. So let's start with Brenda. We'll do a quick intro.
I'm Brenda Payne. I'm in California. I am an invention education administrator with Lemelson MIT and have been here for about 5 years. And I am the California Invention Convention Executive Director. Nice to see everyone on here.
Yeah. Edwin, you want to?
Sure. I'll go next. Good evening, everyone. Edwin Marrero. I'm also part of the Partners in Invention Education team. I'm an IV administrator. I've been with Lemelson for a little bit over a year. Prior to my time at Lemelson, I worked as a teacher in New York City Public Schools. I bring that experience with me over to Lemelson as I lead our programs here in Cambridge.
Awesome. Rosalind?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining tonight. I'm excited for you to hear from some of the educators on the panel tonight. I have a background in sort of environmental science and molecular cell biology, as well as teaching high school biology. And this is my second month here with Lemelson MIT, and I'm so excited for you to dig into invention education and all that it can offer.
I think that's everyone on our end, and then you'll meet some of the other educators we work with on our panel. But I think we can go ahead and get going into a general intro into who we are and what we do. So this, like I said, when we started, this is the third webinar in a series. So you can go back to the first two that kind of give a deeper explanation of what is invention education, why is it important, and who we are. But again, we are Lemelson MIT. We are administered through the MIT School of Engineering. This is our 27th year. And we have gone through a good deal of change in the past few years as we have traditionally been a grants initiative that gives away prize programs to student prize winners, prolific inventors, and also high school invent teams. We still are running the Amazing Invent Teams program. It's in its 20th year. We have 18 patents. And from that invent teams work and also the prize programs, we've done research for the past around 7 years. And have taken the findings from that research and scaled this, the magic of what we've learned from invention education and why invention education and specifically the Invent Teams program has made STEM sticky for students who wouldn't traditionally see themselves in STEM. So we're a staff of 15 members. We're the Partners in Invention Education team. It's a newer program, and we're part of a big change and shift within our organization. So it's just been so thrilling that we've been able to work with teachers like the ones you're going to hear from today. So I think we can move to the next slide. Yeah, so Brenda, take it away.
So this is the model that we've been using for invention education for a while, and it deals with finding and defining a problem and moving into researching the problem and finding out everything you can about it, and then designing a prototype based on the research that's done, and then building that prototype and getting continuous feedback and redesigning and rebuilding it. And for those of you who have been on before, you've heard me go through this at more depth, and those who will be on again, I'll probably do the same.
Thanks, Brenda. So that's the what is it, and then it's the why. So the grand challenge of today and tomorrow is that we need a diversity of inventive problem solvers who are who have had practice at this. It's a skill. Inventing, like anything else, is a skill. So we need to expose students to this young, so they're able to develop those strong skills needed for invention, but also those strong identities as inventors. So very important to approach it in this way, this transdisciplinary way. While we use STEM a lot to frame invention education, it's also can be approached through the arts, through the humanities, and that's something that's also needed at this moment, is this transdisciplinary approach, a convergent approach to how we approach education. So we can go to the next slide. And
Yeah.
then,
And I can talk a bit about this. So we created this slide just as a resource and reference for folks in the webinar tonight. We noticed in the past couple webinars that we've had, a lot of folks been asking for links, direct links to different resources that were mentioned on the webinar. So we included links to some of the stuff that we mentioned that you'll probably hear throughout tonight. It's to Partners in Invention Education, or PI. We have a brochure linked. We have our JV Invent Team guides, the free ones that are available on our website, as well as some information around Invent Teams. And also as part of, I remember when I first started working here, we speak in acronyms a lot. So ISS may be mentioned. And if you hear ISS, that just means Inventing Smart Solutions. That's our course that we've been working on and still piloting with some of the members who are actually on the panel here tonight. Go ahead to the next slide. And next, so for the webinar tonight, we decided to do it a little bit different. As opposed to us doing the majority of talking, we're going to open it up to our panel of invention educators that have worked with us in some capacity over the past few years. We have with us tonight, we have David Bain from Pioneer High School in Woodland, California, Kevin Warfield from Greenbrier East High School in Greenbrier, West Virginia, Tiffany Saunders from Modesto Christian Elementary School in Modesto, California, and Heather Brooks from Calistoga Junior Senior High School in Calistoga, California. Just going to give a little intro for each of them, and then I'm going to allow them to take it away. So first we have David Bain from Pioneer High School. He's been a teacher for 35 years. Bachelor's in Science from Pepperdine University, Master's in Educational Technology from California State University, Sacramento, which is actually where a good buddy of mine is actually a professor over there at Cal State. We have
teaching invention education, we should add there, in a sociology course to highlight how sorry, keep going.
No, you're good. David's been piloting our Inventing Smart Solutions course for the past couple of years. He has been very adamant and very openly communicative with us in terms of giving us feedback and how to improve it. And we meet like every other Wednesday for those check-in meetings to support with that as well. Next, we have Kevin teaching for 19 years against similar with David, invention education all throughout his teaching. He comes with the CTE teaching background in civil engineering and architecture. He's been a pilot for our Inventing Smart Solutions course in 2023 and 2024 school years. He's facilitated toy design. He's also actually doing it this year as well. And he also led an invent team with us in 2021, 2022. And here are some of the pictures of some of his students doing the work, both in ISS and from his invent teams. Next, we have Tiffany Saunders, a fourth grade teacher at Modesto Christian Elementary School. She's been teaching for 14 years. She received her Bachelor's of Science degree in early elementary from University of Phoenix. She's been an informal pilot for our Light Up Kicks curriculum, which Liza, who couldn't be with us tonight, she along with the resource from the JWEL grant that we received. So Tiffany's been doing her pilot in spring 2024, and she's also our formal pilot leader for this fall with Light Up Kicks. And Light Up Kicks is one of our curriculum offerings for paid PI members. And lastly, we have Heather Brooks. She is a rock star teacher. Working with her, it's been a blessing. She's been teaching for 24 years. She received her Bachelor's of Science in Chemistry at San Jose State University and her Master's of Education in Curriculum and Instruction from Chapman University. Heather's was a pilot for our Inventing Smart Solutions last year, and she also led an invent team at the same time. So that's a huge lift to be able to do a pilot and an invent team in the same year, which has been astounding and incredible. She's done a lot of work with supporting students in invention education, and I actually want to transition over to her because she actually has some more information that she would like to share with you all regarding some of the work that she has done specifically and the power of invention education, what it has had with her students. So I'm going to stop sharing real quick and I'm going to switch presentations.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Good evening. Just really quick too, I have worked all the way down to 5th grade with the JV Invent team stuff, and I've done some of the toy making stuff as well. So I've done some summer school stuff, and it's really been a hit at our school district, and the kids just love it. So I put together some slides to share with you. As a science teacher for 24 years, I felt like, especially, I don't know if all of you are familiar with California, but we have NGSS standards here, and engineering is now part of our standards. So we really need that next level of application of knowledge, not just the memorize the facts, memorize the test, take a test. And so I'm just going to go over some of the reasons why invention education is so powerful for our students. So the first slide there was just a picture of our beneficiaries. As you heard, I ran the Invent team last year and also the Inventing Smart Solutions class, and our students picked the people they love the most in our community. If you're familiar with Napa, we've had about 4 or 5 devastating wildfires, and if it wasn't for the firefighters, we wouldn't have a town, literally. Like, we would have just burnt down. On top of that, we have a lot of our students who are their families are in the ag industry. So you really go out there, and that's what I love the most about this program, is that they went out into the community and they researched a ton of people, and they came back with what's the actual problem that they're facing. And we kept hearing everybody's hot, hot, hot. So they invented a smart wearable cooling device that would cool down both firefighters and ag workers. And so you see some pictures there of them interviewing the ag workers, like how would they want it, versus the wildland firefighters asking them like what needs they had before they put together the invention. And so it was very powerful for the students to be able to connect to their community. And so they knew that through the Invent team, they would be able to get a patent. And so they worked really hard to develop, and on that screen right there, you see just the first page out of like 25 pages on their patent that they submitted for where the membrane goes on the forehead of the person that they're trying to cool down. And they had Make What's Next from Microsoft for the support, and Acona IP lawyers helped us. What's incredible is that this 25-page patent document was written by a 14-year-old girl. And even like all of the CAD imagery and everything, it will blow your minds if you just open up to allow the kids to show you their talents. That's the part I feel like in regular school, they don't get to show what they really are capable of. And I was blown away this last year just to see the power that these kids have and the creativity. And that's one of the best things I think about invention education, that really just is so life-changing for these kids. It's really just changed lives. So you see them presenting an MIT right there, the ag and the fire, and then they're all together. And then here, so why is it so powerful? I just really want to share this with you. If you guys have ever worked with Dr. Lou, goes around the country and even a little beyond, just talking about how, you know, the school system was invented back in 1830 by Horace Mann. It literally was not made for all students, yet we're teaching all students. In Calistoga, the poverty cycle is real. We really have a strong problem with this because it's Napa Valley, so everybody comes here. And so it's really hard to live here. The cost of living is really expensive. And so we have 77% of our students are economically disadvantaged, 90% minority, and 86% are Latino or Hispanic. And they just get, you know, thrown around with, they don't have family members that, most of them don't speak English at all, or have education levels that can support these kids. So here you see a picture of one of our students who's only been in this country for 6 years and just learned English. And yet he was our lead engineer, and the power and the knowledge that he learned through this was life-changing. It literally pulling him out of that poverty cycle, because he was able to show what he could add and then pull all of his knowledge from all the academic classes together. And it really, I feel like, helps him with his math and English as well. But you know, the students, they go through all these challenges on a daily basis. Like even this student here last year during the Invent team, he lost his house. Like they didn't have a place to live, and they were going to leave Calistoga altogether, but it literally was the Invention Education program that the parents said, no, we're going to keep driving them back into Calistoga because we want to make sure that he has the access to this invention education. And he ended up making it with Christina to the White House to present the invention that he did, and also just for Hispanic Heritage Month. It was amazing and powerful. So that's one of the #1 things, is that poverty cycle. So yes, he's amazing. The other part, oh, can you go back one, Edwin? Sorry, I'm going to go quickly through my bullets because I think these are important. But
Time, you're doing great. Thank you, Heather.
sorry. So yeah, that's what I was just saying, is that a lot right now is just memorize facts, take a test, and then students, they lose interest because they don't understand what the point of these tests are. And then we want to know why our students aren't prepared for this global market, because we haven't done a good job in telling them how to apply all these facts, right? So invention education gives them the power, and all of a sudden you see them say, oh, I understand why education is powerful now. Like I have a totally changed environment in my classes now. Students are seeing the point of the academics and their education, and they see how powerful it is. It breaks down barriers. You know, you have students that barely speak English. Then you have high level students that their families, you know, have spoken English and gone to college. And usually they segregate. You know, this program allows them to go across those barriers and say, oh, you're amazing at patent making. You're amazing at engineering. You're amazing at this technology. I need help with sensors. All of a sudden you see them like in this image, just going across and building strong bonds that are peer-to-peer bonds that are just incredible. And last, I want to say, for those teachers out there who are like, oh, you know, it's just too much. I don't know technology. I can't do this. It's over my head. The students will teach you. Like literally, there are such amazing things that you can use, like Tinkercad, that they learn those programs themselves. They can then come back and be the teacher leaders. The students literally become that. And then the teachers are just sort of the guides on the sides, like just saying, hey, you need to work with this person. Okay, you're struggling, go over here. So it really gives the power back into the hands of the kids, and really is just life-changing for them, and just overwhelmingly bringing in, why are we in school? Like that part is just hit home.
That's
Okay,
amazing.
the other thing I saw, the change that I saw, was the community and the parents all coming to, it was incredible. I think a lot of our parents, because they don't speak English at all, they get scared. They want to help their kids. They want their kids to do the best they can. They love them so much, but they don't really know how to help with the academic part. So bringing this program in, we had events to raise money. It was like, I literally was crying when I saw the middle picture of one of my students, and her aunt and uncle came and literally brought like a tent. They brought stoves, they brought all the food. I was so humbled to see how much they care and how much they're willing to get involved, but they just don't know how. So that was really touching for me. And then on the other end of the spectrum, all the businesses, the Rotary clubs, like every single community partner came together to help them and wanted to hear more and were willing to support them. So much so that when we came back, they literally got police escorts for us when we came back into the town, and did like a little parade when we came back from presenting our invention at MIT. So the community, it's just really incredible to see how many people in the community want this type of program, because like I said in the beginning, we're going out into the community and we're saying, what are your problems? You know, how can we help fix them? And so then they get to bring everything together, not just the school isolation, parent isolation, but the community as well. And then last, really quick, we also then went to the state capitol, and we helped to support the Resolution 106, which makes California IP Awareness Month, and for the month of October. So you see the students even traveling to learn more about the political system, how everything works together, and how they can be an active member to support the cause of invention, education, and innovation. And so that also was powerful. And then I mentioned that Ilyas also went up to the White House. So, and then Congress, came over on Halloween. It's just been an amazing, you go beyond your school. It's taking that academics and then putting it into the real world, that global society, that part that we are missing. So I know I'm rushing. I'm trying to get done.
You're the best. You're just the best. You're amazing. That was so inspiring, Heather. And I know Edwin's going to lead us into the panel to give the other educators the chance to introduce themselves and share a little about how they got into this world. But thank you so much, Heather. As you can see, the impact of the students is changes their lives, our lives, getting to know these kids. I didn't know Elias too well before. Then we're traveling to DC doing scooter rides, tour of the Capitol along the mall. Now it's like a new student that I feel now. I miss out on that not being in the classroom. So it's just been so fulfilling on so many levels. And you build those kind of connections through invention education, I think even on like an amplified level, because it's like that community need that's driving everyone towards a common goal. So thank you, Heather. Edwin, let's give the educators a minute to introduce, or a couple minutes to introduce themselves and how they got into this, and then we'll move into the panel.
Sure. Yeah, I was just going to bring up the slide just to bring it back. I wanted to allow, as Christine said, just allow the other educators to introduce themselves. So David, by means, take it away. I know you're also doing great work as well, just like Heather. So please.
Heather's impossible to follow because she's so amazing. Yeah, I'm a Pioneer High in Woodland near Sacramento. And I've been doing this. I was exposed to invention education at a conference in December of '99, so right before the shutdowns happened, and I was looking for a capstone, and then in spring of 2020, and they were looking for someone to pilot a capstone, and it was kind of a synergy there, because I was looking for something, they were seeking someone to pilot, and it just kind of rolled from there. I'm different than the other instructors because I've never had an invent team, which puts me in a different category. I've never had the invent team experience, but that's really special to me too, because it means that I don't have that bias, if you will, of having that invent team experience and all of that backing. I'm just doing this based on a curriculum that I really believe in. Invention education has changed the way I teach my other classes. It's a very creative exposure to allowing students to become something that they aren't already, and to allow them to become open-ended. One thing I love about it is that when I start the class in August, I have no idea what the end product's going to be in May. And the parents will ask, well, what's your project going to be? And I say, I have no idea. The students will find something and we'll invent something that's really, really amazing to solve a real problem. And I'll walk them through that process, and it's going to be really amazing, but I have no idea what it's going to be, because the 2 years I've taught it and I have been totally different from one another. And then this year, the projects are totally different from any of the 2 years I've taught. And even the years that the kids pick the same general outline, their projects are totally different. And they get to invent and be creative and have an experience they would never get anywhere else. It's amazing for them as students. It's amazing for me as their teacher, because it changes the way I look at life and the way I look at teaching. And it's really something that has changed me as a person as well.
Awesome. Thank you, David. I'll transition us over to Kevin.
Good evening, everyone. I'm kind of like David. Like he said, once you start teaching invention education, it bleeds over into everything you do. I actually got my start as thought I was being cute, and I applied for the Lemelson grant in 2016. I thought I would, have a rejection letter from MIT to hang in my classroom, just to, to be funny. And lo and behold, I got a grant in 2016, 2017. And it's been an adventure ever since. We've done some kind of inventing every year since 2016, 2017. The kids on that first team, you know, I ran into a lot of problems that Heather mentioned. You know, we're about 90% below poverty level. I had a student homeless that first year, and he's now a project manager at Boeing. So, you know, these types of programs and invention education in general can be life-changing. In my case, it's family affair. My wife is heavily involved in what we do. Both of my daughters have been on invent teams that presented at Cambridge, and last year my youngest daughter was on one of the Inventing Smart Solutions teams that also presented at Eureka Fest. So invention is a big part of my life at school and at home. You know, this style of teaching is really, you know, it's life changing because, you know, I get to a certain part of the year, I just write lab in my lesson plans because I don't know what's coming. The kids will come in and tell me what I'm teaching that day. And I have, you know, we'll sit down and try to figure out what problems they're needing to solve for their inventions. Like today, my 2 toy design classes created their first inventions, and these are freshmen and sophomores, and it was a blast. It was like standing in the middle of a hurricane because there was just all of this action going on around the room, and all of the kids were behaved and everything. They were so involved in what they were doing because it was a time challenge. They had one class period to get a mock-up together, and you know, I love the chaos. Other teachers will come into my classroom and they just kind of shrivel in the corner because they're so used to everything being in a line and in rows. And once you start teaching invention education, that goes out the window because it won't work. But I love it, and I'm going to keep doing it for the rest of my career. There's no going back.
All right. Thank you, David. And our last member of our panel, Tiffany.
Oh, I think you're muted, Tiffany.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I think she's muted.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. Hi. I'm so excited to hear from everybody. So it's really enlightening. My name is Tiffany Saunders. Yes. I'm just going to share a brief little bio with you and kind of stick to a script just because I've never really done this before. This is first. I know I've had several meetings with Brenda as well as Liza. I know she couldn't make it. And also, I think even with Christina maybe once, and then definitely with Edwin. So it's so great to see you both again. And Brenda, I miss seeing you. So invention, like you said, Kevin and David, I mean, once you start, you won't go back. That is for sure. I know I've always been intrigued by invention. I've always tried to come up with inventions of my own. I haven't been successful, but I feel like as far as pursuing that avenue for all the students and, you know, front loading them with all that knowledge that you guys have all taught me, as well as just being so excited about engaging with the students and implementing it, is seeing it through their eyes. And like you mentioned earlier, Christina, it is such fulfillment, and you get so much joy out of all of it. Like you said, Heather, it's amazing, truly amazing. And I'm so grateful to be able to be a part of this whole team and experience. But just to kind of share brief about me and how I was kind of introduced to Lemelson MIT. I've been teaching for the last 14 years, like Edwin had mentioned, and I genuinely love working with young children and have recently had the honor of leading this MIT Light Up Kick program. Last year was the first year implementing the program, as well as getting to get my hands on it and kind of dive in deeper with the students this year. And I cherish spending time with my family, my husband of 11 years, our 2 children, my daughter, Sydney, whom's 9. She's in 4th grade. She's actually in my class this year. So I think God is testing my patience. And then our son that's 6, he attends kindergarten here at my school. They're both here at my school. And in our spare time, we love to enjoy traveling and getting creative in the kitchen. And I love baking with my kids and just sharing those joyful moments with them. We have 2 dogs and a fish. And definitely my faith is definitely a guiding force in my life. And I draw inspiration from my favorite scriptures, Philippians. It's attached to my email, Philippians 4:13, and I embrace each challenge with grace and patience. And definitely you need patience with inventing. It takes time, and my heart is deeply invested in this work, and I genuinely appreciate this opportunity, truly. Thank you so much again, just for allowing me to contribute today. And then talking about Light Up Kick specifically throughout the multi-week invention, it's about an 8 to 9 week process, except for I've kind of basically allowed the students to sum up some of the weeks and consolidate those weeks, because we're able to kind of intertwine and mix and push things to go forward faster, I guess. But the students are extremely engaged. Like you mentioned, in as far as being engaged, and it is kind of chaotic, Kevin. I don't do well with chaos, but I do well with organized chaos. And it truly is, because all the students are exposed to all these different tools and resources, and then they have to assemble them together, and the classroom is in complete disarray. And looking around the room, I normally would have major anxiety over it, but then I think, you know what? This is organized, and they're all engaged, and they're actively participating, and they're all working on something that they've been taught and or educated on or have been told to do, right? And they're all willing. So the initial meetings are definitely sparking with excitement as students explored shoe designs for their favorite sports and or even activities, whether it's dance or something that maybe it's nature walks or what have you, crafting gadgets. Though challenges have arose, right, in researching inventors and articulating design concepts at 4th grade, 9 and 10 years old. This was addressed by incorporating scaffolding, visual aids, and graphic organizers to support vocabulary, like biomimicry is a new word that I even learned last year, and project tracking. So subsequent sessions featured PBS videos, for the kids to watch, effectively inspired enthusiasm and inform students about the design and process. As they progress to build outsoles and uppers, they're learning about the anatomy of a shoe. Students are faced with practical challenges that highlighted the trial and error nature of invention, particularly when working with materials like foam and clay. The curriculum also emphasized sustainability and cultural influences while fostering collaboration and creativity through technology. And then students are preparing presentations. They faced nerves ultimately last year, specifically when it came up to showcasing it, but ultimately developed valuable public speaking skills, gaining insight into design, innovation, perseverance, and the significance of careful craftsmanship throughout this whole journey has been so incredible to just watch and oversee. So that's a little bit about Light Up Kicks, and they've had so much fun with it. And so have I.
Thank you, Tiffany. I
Yeah.
wouldn't know it's your first time. You're such a natural at this.
Oh gosh, thank you. I'll mute myself now.
No, I'll
Now,
open it.
Okay, if I can comment, I love that Tiffany mentioned it's a lot of fun, because that is something that I don't think the other 3 of us mentioned. It is a lot of fun to teach inventing education. It brings back a lot of spark. I've been teaching roughly forever, and this is just a lot of fun to teach. So I'm glad you mentioned it, that Tiffany, that I just left that out. And I want to see pictures and video of your light up kicks when they're done. That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing we say with our programs too, inventing is just plain fun. Well, in spirit of the panel, though, I just want to open it up to viewers or participants in our Zoom call. If you have any questions for anyone on the panel, you feel free to unmute and share. I have the slide up with all 4 of our educators here, so feel free to ask your question directed to any of them.
Yeah, you can use the raising hand feature, or you can just come off mute and go ahead and direct your questions.
You can type them in chat as well.
Yeah, Dave, I think we have a question from.
Hi, my name is Dave Pillsbury. I teach in Massachusetts. I teach at a boarding school, and we're on a semester model. And so I'm just wondering if anyone can talk about the likelihood or any tips on teaching a course like this, or in a semester model where I have my students from end of August to December for a winter break.
How long are your class periods?
We meet 9 times out of 10 days. We alternate Wednesdays, and each block is 70 minutes.
Okay. I'm on a traditional 2-semester, 45-minute class, every day. If you're like inventing smart solutions, what I tried to do in that is it is for classroom, a classroom invention where you run on a classroom budget and on class periods where students don't have to, come in on weekends or Saturdays or whatever after school, because some kids don't have a ride and things. So it can fit in that system. You just have to determine what your expectations are. Like, do you want in that semester, do you want a working prototype at the end? Do you want working drawings and a prototype? You have to, set your expectations with your students and determine, at the end of the semester, this is what success should look like. And the one problem or thing that, I really focus at the beginning of the year, that the A is in the process, not the product. If you're doing the steps and, going back, fixing mistakes, and you're learning from mistakes and you don't quite get there at the end, but you're doing the work and using the process, that's success in itself. Because a lot of kids show up, well, how much do I have to do to get an A? And I'm like, you have to do your best. So a lot of it, as far as timing goes, set goals and expectations for what you want. And, along the way, just talking to your kids and see what their idea of success is going to look like and what your idea is going to look like. It's communication and what you think you can achieve in that time.
Dave, can you be more specific on what you're trying to teach? Is it the JV Invent Team project, or are you thinking about the Invent Team? Or, I mean, I teach 90-minute classes, so I actually think it lends itself to this type of work because you have more time. You don't have to take it down, set it back up again.
Yeah, I am currently, this is like just getting started on considering the process. I teach algebra and geometry right now. And so I'm thinking, like, how do I you know, and currently do like a little bit of something with 3D printing in my geometry class, but would
Right.
love to expand it and make it more, you know, that's me saying like, here's what we're gonna build and do to support your understanding of volume and surface area. This really sounds like it's more organic, coming from the students. So I guess I haven't yet visualized what that looks like in and if it can run inside of a traditional math class, or is this something that happens out? Is this an additional class that students are signing up for that's running in addition to maybe their core classes? So that's my second
So
question.
Both answers
you
are
can
right.
do either. Yeah.
Because we've got teachers doing it both ways. At the last couple of summers at MIT's at the Excite conference, which has a different name, but anyway, I met teachers who were doing in their math classes, they were working with students on projects exactly what you're talking about, and using invention education exactly the way you're wanting to do it. And among the invention fellows, there are plenty of folks who do exactly what you're talking about with their students. And then I don't do that because I teach invention as a more discrete discipline in a course. But I also teach an IoT class where it turns out that I embed invention education into my IoT class because it leaks out into everything I teach, because it changed the way I look at education, and it leaked without me realizing it until I looked back at, oh my gosh, that's an invention lesson plan. But it's in a different course and a different way because it leaks into everything else you do. And it wasn't intentional, and I didn't even notice that I was doing it until after the fact. So everything you want, Dave, is going to work, and it's available, and it's being done now, and you're in the right place.
I would start, Dave, with pick one of the JV Invent Team projects and just start with that, because that's going to really help you wrap your brain around what invention education is. And like they've been saying, the students really will run I think math wise, the kids start focusing on, oh, now I understand why I'm learning geometry, especially if you're doing 3D printing and modeling. I mean, I have never had so much interest in today. They're just pulling out like the millimeters and they're arguing about changing the dimensions, and we've got to measure that. I mean, they actually get into it and they actually care for once. So it really helps them cling to that academic concept. Why are we learning this? They stop asking, why are we learning this? It just becomes, I need this to make my invention. Christina, I think you're talking about your mute.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying thanks, Rosalind, for putting them in the chat, the JV Invent Team guides. These are some of our free resources that are available on our website, and they're a great on-ramp to like a deeper invention education experience, like the Inventing Smart Solutions or Invent Teams. So definitely check those out. Thanks, Heather.
Christina, did you see Terry's question right above
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
Rosalind?
Tracy just put my contact info in the chat. Terry, I'm looking forward to talking with you. Any other questions? That was an awesome question, Dave. All right.
Maybe if some of you could speak to what it's like to be what it's been like to work with the staff at LMIT and Pi specifically, and sort of like how they've supported you throughout your years of implementing invention education in your classrooms.
Could I ask a question for Tiffany? You said you were doing the Light Up Kicks project. Are there any other projects that you have done with your grade level, or is there anything you want to try?
I have actually. Sorry, Rosalind, I didn't want
No,
to
it's
talk
totally
over
fine.
anyone. Rosalind, you can finish asking your question. Is yours also geared towards elementary too?
No, go for it, Tiffany. I'll
Are
ask
you
it after.
sure? Okay,
Yeah.
I don't want to step on anyone's toes through the web. Nancy, in answer to your question, I have, and actually it was all in honor of Liza, which, like you said earlier, Edwin, she couldn't make it, but I have exposed my kiddos to, and I call them my kids because I feel like once they're my student, they're like my kids. I treat them no different. So we did Treat on the Wall. These are all, I guess, resources that were given from Lemelson MIT, and I can actually share the links with you too. They're geared for more so 4th, 5th grade. You could probably expand it to 6th grade. And then if you were to do anything under 4th grade, you definitely have to probably modify the curriculum. But as far as utilizing classroom resources, whether they're recyclable water bottles or cardboard, have quite the collection I've been collecting since the first day of school. I'm sure can imagine what they leave behind and what they don't claim after weeks that go by. So I use them in my recyclable bin. But a Treat on the Wall was a fun activity where they had to create some sort of expanding grabber or apparatus, and they had to obviously compile pieces together. It was a group or a team. I didn't partner more than 3 people in a group. Depending on your class size, you could do a partner of 2. It comes with a rubric, which is awesome. It's a 1-page rubric. There's question and answer Q&As at the end that you could do with your class as a whole class or independently and have them answer those questions. There was another one where they had to create a cell phone stand. So in the event, they give different scenarios, which was really cool. So the Treat on the Wall specifically was that there's a treat taped up on your wall, and I actually taped them physically. And they had to create something to be able to reach and grab and pull it down. Again, it's a great activity. There's time constraints within each activity. It's broken down in explicit detail, as well as the cell phone stand. Like I said, it was like they're waiting at a doctor's appointment, and heaven forbid they have their phone and they don't want to hold it anymore. They have to create a stand to be able to place their cell phone on. So that was a fun, engaging activity. So short activities, things that you can get through in a day. You could even, I know you had mentioned that you teach high school or junior high, the JV, but the 70-minute intervals of the class, you could even do that with your kids. I mean, I'm sure all the high school students and junior high, I've had 2nd graders in the past that have cell phones. So to me, it's beyond my control. But as far as technology, they're exposed to all of it. And there's different ways that you can definitely engage your class. And I can send all of those to you and share them with you to your email. I'd be happy to do that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks, Tiffany. All right, any other questions? And or we can circle back to Rosalind's if no one else has any questions.
Yeah, if other teachers in the room have questions, feel free to jump in. It's totally your time to ask questions.
I was just going to answer your question, Rosalind, about the support that you get from Lemelson MIT and the PI. I was really blown away because I'm in a small town and we don't really have any, businesses that are really large or colleges near me. So it's really hard for me to get support. But every time I would email, I would get an incredibly overwhelming list of different people contacting me for help. So, it wasn't just me either. The junior high science teacher did one of the, it was the sound one, the project with Bose. And I remember he came to me and he was asking a question about the pickups or something that they were having to invent. Noisemakers, that was it. Thanks, Christina. And he was like, I don't understand this one part. So we emailed and they were so connected because the curriculum is written by industry and MIT. They just responded back to him, oh, we'll contact someone at Bose and we'll get back to you about what it is that you're having a problem with. And it was like, whoa, like they really are networked. They don't shy away from answering questions. Anytime you need help, they're just 120% always there for you. It's an incredible amount of support. The curriculum is written really well as well because they integrate with industry. It's not just something boring in a textbook, but how does this come into life in the global society and in industry? How do we see these inventions? So they have really well written curriculum, and it's very supportive for almost an MIT all the time. No, never had anything not answered.
Yeah, the support is really good. Dr. Estabrooks, she had been after me for a couple years to learn coding. And, I was reluctant, and she kept telling me about microbits, and, I was dragging my feet about it, and all of a sudden a box of microbits showed up. So that's, they've navigated me into some new areas. I'm a CAD person. That's what I did in my career before teaching was I did CAD drawings, and, I was like, I don't want to get into coding. I don't want to be part of it. And now, it's kind of integrated into most everything I do at some point or another in the school year. But if you have a question, usually you get a response, within a couple hours. Sometimes, you know, by the end of the school day, most days you'll have your answer. I mean, that's better support than you get from about anywhere else in education.
Kevin, I'm so excited to tell Dr. Estabrooks that she dragged you in screaming and that you have been a total success at it. I'm sure she'll be delighted to hear that.
Oh, the kids are still better than me at it, but I give it the good college try.
We always hope that they will be better.
Yeah, it's kind of
Right.
insane this year. I have 8 teams of students doing inventions, and it's the main thing I get done right now is doing Amazon orders, because every couple days the kids come up, well, I need this kind of cord, or I need this sensor, and I've got 5 that are like heavily involved in prototyping, and I have 3 that are doing inventing smart solutions, and they just started trying to define their problem 2 days ago. So we're at a bunch of different phases in what we're doing. But I enjoy it. It makes going to school interesting. Um, I never know what to expect when I get there. But in my program, being in West Virginia, it's pounded in our head that we're ranked 48th in education. That's all we hear. It's on the news. So, I'm constantly telling my kids, do you feel 48th? And they take they want to really impress and show that, the education they're getting is not bad, and they're really they're learning and invested, and it's been remarkable, the kids that have come through my program that have done invention. I've got an architect in New York, a kid that just got hired by SpaceX, and they have this Lemelson stamp on their you know their resumes, and their college applications and scholarship applications, and it makes them really stand out. I can't say enough good things about Lemelson and everybody there. And I would probably, I taught for 10 years before I kind of stumbled into invention ed, and I'm like, I don't know how I did it before. I mean, it's just it's such a different way of thinking and way of doing things that, I can never go back. And if they try to make me, I'll probably just hang it up.
Another question from Dave. What's the sort of the startup window? You know, you sort of, you know, if I click on this link and I read this website and want to get started, you know, is there prep time, build up time? That's the first question. Second is, you know, if you were interested in it, did you have to convince anyone that your school needed to have this? And if so, how does that work?
I'm going to jump in really quick and just say, so then just to make it clear, there's the invent team process, which Kevin has done and Heather has done. And then there's the PI program. So the invent team process is like the applications open up early year. Then the top applicants are invited to come out to MIT in the summer. Final applications are due in September, or due September, announced early October. That's the invent team where you receive the $7,500 grant. The PI program, the Partners in Invention Education program, that is a different, that's when you're a membership-based program where the district or the school buys into a membership-based program with Lemelson MIT. And we provide the support with inventing smart solutions that Kevin gets, that David is now piloting with his course, and that other schools that we partner with from across the US have access to that curriculum, and a lot of other curriculum too, but at the high school level, I think that's what you said you were working in. So that's, I just wanted to preface it with that. We have a couple more minutes if anyone else wants to jump in about how to get started with it. Heather, I know you started with JV guides. Kevin, you always say toy design is a good on-ramp, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, toy design JV invent team is pretty broad and it's easy to just do, especially if you're doing math. You can apply toys to math all the time.
Yeah. Toy design's great. It gets you into, you know, prototyping, coding. 3D printing is very useful in toy design.
Sensors.
And you know, I would say that would be the best gateway into this.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it isn't, oh, sorry, go ahead, Heather.
Oh, you asked if you had to convince anybody? I'd say no. I have teachers that come up and say, I wish we could just all do something with the project that you're doing, because this is what the kids need, the skills they need. I have the district got 110% behind it. They're excited about it. I mean, this is what we're missing. How do you bring your kids to a global society if you're not showing them how to apply their knowledge?
Yeah.
And at
Yeah, I
that
would
point,
say
it's
you don't-
convincing yourself and convincing your local people. That's all a local decision. But it really starts with convincing yourself.
Yeah.
The prep is really easy. I feel like it's very well laid out. They have Amazon shopping carts, right, for the stuff you need to buy. Christina, you made those, right?
Amazon wish list, exactly.
Yeah, so just put those in. And then, like I said, Tinkercad is your best friend for any sort of programming, 3D modeling. If you're doing Arduinos or microbits, the kids will teach themselves, especially when you're dealing with the modeling and the programming. You don't want to have to hold everybody's hands. They're just going to run with it. They're going to come back and teach you.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you. That's incredible. And it's true. Heather always tells me that. You'd always say, Heather, I figure it out alongside them. We figure it out together. They all say that. David says that. Kevin says that. That's really the approach here. So thank you so much, Tiffany, Kevin, Heather, David, for joining us and just giving back to the Invention Ed community and providing your feedback and perspectives. And thank you all for joining us tonight.